before you this morning to talk about Gary. I bring the thoughts and prayers of Mayor Capt Warner. She called me up this morning and told me she wouldn't be able to make it. And I also bring the thoughts and prayers of the other city council members here at the city of Whittier. I've been asked to talk about Gary's earlier years as he was my little brother's really good friend while we were all growing up. In fact, we were in Boy Scouts together, Troop 462, right here at this church, and Gary actually, on occasion, would show up for worship services. We're jumping from large oak tree to large oak tree over very rocky and dangerous terrain. And I mean, you could just hear the bones breaking when they were going to inevitably fall, but of course, they didn't, which made them even more invincible, especially in their own minds. And I remember the troop backpacking. We were on the John Muir Trail in the Sierras about 8,000 feet up with little air, carrying all the food on our backs, sweaty, telling ourselves, oh gee, isn't this beautiful and just so wonderful? I mean, as a kid you're supposed to enjoy being in the mountains, but it was hard work. And there'd be Gary, carrying his pack, doing his Energizer Bunny thing, going up the trail and throwing rocks at the marmots who made great moving targets. And the one thing I appreciate about Morgie was that he was helpful, willing to carry his share, and even more, without whining too much. But what was particularly fun about Gary was his interaction with my staunch Republican mother, who passed away in 2005. You see, my mother had a way of taking in wayward type kids, and Gary became one of her kids. Gary would come over for dinner, he'd hang out after school. My mother just thought he was the greatest. Now, of course, I knew better because Gary actually had a little bit of Eddie Haskell in him, you know, Leave It to Beaver. And he knew how to really suck up to my mother pretty well. And when I say suck up, he would suck up to her. And he was just one of her favorites. Well, many years went by, and I only saw Gary on occasion as we got older, but one morning several years ago at 6 a.m., I received an urgent phone call from my mom telling me that my dad was having a heart attack. She called 911, and of course I raced to their home, and Engine 28 and Squad 28 were there monitoring my dad. My mom ran out the door as I exited my vehicle shouting, "Gary's here! Gary's here! And I know everything's going to be okay with Dad!" Favorite. Still a favorite. In fact, everything did turn out okay, but although Gary was there, my dad's survival was probably giving Gary a little more credit than he actually deserved under the circumstances.